So there is a glitch. I didn't mention it when we were playing as Knuckles earlier, but there is a glitch.
You're going to have to use bombs.
There is a glitch that can happen. What the fuck? Huh? All right. Someone clip this. Just like, come on. Come on. This is not the glitch that I was talking about 2 seconds ago, but this is a glitch that has happened. Bro, get off the wall. Down a tank, except that's totally not how you take down a tank.
No, you can't just shoot your assault rifle at the ass of the tank. Okay, disc launcher. There was another disc launcher. Oh, back there.
Oh.
That's a crash. That's a crash.
I thought it was Parsec for a second. I'm just glad.
Nope.
All right. What up, everybody? It's your boy, the Infinite Dragon here, and welcome to technically Final Fantasy 15, but we're doing some cleanup first. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching an archive stream. You should check me out live. Link is always in the description down below, as well as a link to my Discord, which I will let you know what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, and all of that good stuff. So, here's the deal. I decided that I did not want to play Final Fantasy X-2. You guys saw me technically rage quit, but I would really call it a rage quit. I just decided I was tired and I didn't want to do it anymore. But I am still, we started it and we did know some of the story. And I'm interested in what the story is going to be. I'm also not playing Final Fantasy 11 because that's an MMO. And I decided as well yesterday that I don't want to play Final Fantasy 12 because I just don't think that's a stream game. And I will go into more depth on my feelings in a second. But for today's stream is going to be split into 2 parts. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching like probably 2 separate videos. But this is all one stream, so make sure you check us out live if you want to, see that when it happens. But basically, we're just going to do some story recaps. So we're going to start with 10-2, 11, and then 12, and then we'll start Final Fantasy 15. We're going to be skipping Final Fantasy 14 because I have technically played some of that. And the reason why I'm not doing it for the marathon is because that is also an MMO. So there's not really a reason for me to, do all of that because we'll never get done with the marathon, will we? But yeah, so and we all know how 13 went. Yeah, we started with 13. We all know how that went. How you doing, Cookies? She's at a meeting right now, but thank you for being first regardless when you probably watch the vlog back. What are we doing? There we go. I need my tabs. So there we go. So I have 3 videos. The first one, the first one and the last one are going to be Oni Black Mage, and then the second one is going to be by Birds of Play, which is a great name. But before we get into this properly, I do want to explain my my feelings on Final Fantasy. Oh, well, good. You're at a meeting. Perfect. How you doing, Peach? I thank you for being first. I do want to explain my feelings a little bit more in depth. Some of you may not have seen the video itself, which it should be. If you're watching this on the mega list, it should be in the it should be in the playlist before this, but whatever. Let me go ahead and talk about my feelings real quick. Let me scroll back up. So I was saying that doing good, had to deal with car troubles, but luckily my father-in-law knows a guy. Well, it's always nice to know a guy. I've always said that you don't necessarily need to be rich. You just have to know people who are rich, right? Or know people who know people. You just have to have the connect. You don't need to be good at everything. You just need to have the connect. So 10-2, I was stating this, like I said, this is also in the description, but I'll try to go in more depth so you guys can ask questions and whatnot. 10-2 is not a bad game, but I never felt more like I was playing something on recommendation than I have 10-2 because there was just no reason for anything to be happening. You know what I mean? Like I went to Xanarkin in the last game, and the game was like, no, you have to go look at the rest of the game, which under normal circumstances would be fine, but I didn't feel the need to go look at the other locations. For example, and this is kind of I'm going to make some comparisons, and I want to be very clear that I'm not saying 10-2 is a bad game or you have shit taste for liking 10-2 if you enjoyed it. I want to be very clear that I'm not doing this is just a critique, and I'm stating off the bat that this is kind of an unfair comparison because this game has come out more recently than 10-2. 10-2 came out in 2003, so it's an unfair comparison to compare to a game that came out closer to the 2010s. But in Trails of Cold Steel, right? Trails of Cold Steel is the first game, is a narratively driven game that has a lot of world building in it. The whole entire concept is very similar to Persona in the sense that you're going to school, and in school, you're learning about the world that you were in. You literally, like every month in that game, you have class field trips where you go out to certain places throughout the world and you learn what's going on there, how the economy functions, what's going on, how the kingdom functions into all of that. And then it also kind of cheats, in quotation marks, because it's a really good idea. It cheats your character building because you're in school with your classmates, right? And so when all the political stuff happens in Trails of Cold Steel, when all the political stuff starts going hitting the fan, and you see how it affects the rest of the world, you know how the world worked before it happened and why it's changing. And then when the end of the game happens, you go, oh shit, I need to know what happens right now, and then you play the next game. And then the whole next game is an open world area where you get to go wherever the fuck you want to go and figure out what you want to figure out because now you know how everything works. You've already been to all these locations. It's a very good it's a very good model. 10-2 does not do this, and I think, or sorry, Final Fantasy 10 does not do this, and I think that's okay that it doesn't do that. I don't think anything needed to be more than what it was, except Seymour. I think Seymour could have been a better villain. He was just kind of like the weird guy that was always there, in my opinion. But 10 did everything that it needed to do, and I think it was fine with that. Politically speaking, it was a very politically driven game. You need to go do this. Everyone believes in the faith. You need to go do this thing that'll stop that'll stop the big bad from destroying everything, right? Pretty straightforward. And most of the game was just going from place to place to collect an Aeon and then get to the end, right? It's very straightforward, and I don't think anything needed to be more than what it was. It could have been. It would have been really nice to have more in-depth characters. I think the characters in Final Fantasy X are kind of cardboard cutouts, but I don't think they needed to be what they were. I don't think Waka needed to be more than just bro dude. I don't think Riku needed to be more than energetic girl, and I don't think Yuna needed to be anything more than maiden. That said, though, that leaves some things to be desired in terms of characterization and world building. You do go to all these different locations, but you don't do anything there except get the Aeon and move to the next area. Like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it isn't present, right? So when you get to 10-2, and 10-2 is like, yo, look at all these places. Go back to all the places that you visited. I don't care about any of those places because I didn't spend any time there doing anything or talking with the people or anything because there's no reason to. We didn't do that in the first game. Why do I care what's happening now? I think it's cool that Kilika got the update to it because it's been 2 years since it got destroyed by Sin. But I don't care because I don't care about what happened there. We didn't help with the rebuilding or anything. It's implied that Waka helped with the rebuilding in 10 base, but I mean, so what? We didn't do it. We were asleep. We saved that one girl from falling because of the structure, from drowning because the structure fell, but that was like one instance in like a whole entire town area, right? So like I don't really care that Kilika is rebuilt or anything. It's just a cool fun fact, right? I mentioned in the description that it was kind of like an 10-2 starts off like an apple, like, oh, this is where they are now. And I don't really particularly care about it. Like, it doesn't make me care about it. Like, it's cool that Xanarkin is now, or it's interesting that Xanarkin is now a tourist trap. It makes sense that Sid made it a tourist trap because he wants his fucking money. So it's like a fun fact. Mostly, I don't really. There's nothing like emotionally tying me to these places because we didn't do anything except run through it. I don't think I had a problem with any of the anything that happened in 10, but 10-2 just feels largely unnecessary. And then specifically when I got to the point when I got to Xanarkin's fighting, and the game goes, no, you have to go explore the rest of the game. I felt immediately kind of burned out because I didn't want to go explore the rest of it. I just wanted the story because I wanted to see what was going on. And I didn't want to interact with this world, and that's what took me out of it. I just felt it a lot at that particular moment because I was also tired. But that's what took me out of it. I didn't feel the need to do any of that. I also had the idea of comparing it to Persona, which again is kind of an unfair comparison because that came out way more recently. But in Persona 5, there are a lot of things that that game does well and that game doesn't do well. For example, I don't think anybody cares about all of the social links in Persona 5. Like if you didn't have to do the journalist social link in Persona 5, nobody would. Like who cares? I bet you most of the people in chat don't even remember the journalist social link's name or the fortune teller's name. I remember the journalist's name. I don't remember the fucking fortune teller's name at all. I forgot she was in the game until just now. Partially, you're a nerd though, so of course you know. Again, she's also just kind of Chie again, except worse. But
Wow.
well, you are. Am I wrong? You had to do me dirty like that. I'm sorry. It's true. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But the point in bringing that up is that Persona can have a narratively driven game because it doesn't have to worry about the world building because the world is real life. The setting of Persona is real life, so it doesn't have to worry about world building. So that way you can have these, you can focus more on the characters to drive it, and then when it matters, the politics. It doesn't have to worry about that. Final Fantasy X did not worry about the world building because it wasn't really important. So now you're telling me in 10-2 it is important and to look at these people and then look at the characters. I don't care. Now I think they're gonna mention it in the video about the characterization of Yuna and how she's different now and how people mention that she's different. And I think that's a cool detail. Now that she doesn't have the weight of the world on her shoulders and she doesn't have to sacrifice herself, she's allowed to be a little bit more herself, and I think that's pretty cool. She's a lot more sassy and outgoing, and I think that's a cool detail. But I don't care about it, and I don't care about it because there was none of that underlying in her character beforehand. Again, that's kind of an unfair thing to say because this game came out in 2003. The standards were a lot different back then, which is why I keep saying for Final Fantasy X, I think it's fine. I think they tried to make Tidus' alive sphere the driving force or hook to keep people wanting to play. But yeah, it's also hoping that you wanted to explore Spirit again and see how it changed, though it was also a cheap shortcut to reuse areas. I don't mind that they wanted to make you reuse areas, or they wanted to reuse areas and have you visit areas again. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is how they did it. I think that if they chose an approach that goes, hey, here are some places that will extend the plot, and if you decide to go out of your way to look at other places to sphere hunt, you'll get some cool shit, right? But having two areas like these two places are plot important, and this one's too strong for you. Go look at other places is kind of like lame. And I didn't really have a problem with the gameplay in general, but I don't like the idea that you can change your job in the middle of battle, and that does nothing because the job level up by themselves. I think if it was tied to level, and then like anybody can switch to any class they want it to be, and you can have any setup of jobs at any point in time because it's tied to the character's level as opposed to their own level. I think that'd be much smoother experience because that way you can have whatever combination of jobs you wanted to have at any point. And it's just tied to. But I think the reason why they did it the way they did is because of a legacy thing. Because that's how jobs worked in Final Fantasy 3 and 5, so that's how it works here. You know what I mean? Is there anything else I wanted to notice? Chat, do you have any questions while I'm making sure I covered everything I wanted to say? Oh, I also wanted to say that I'm kind of confused on why Kamari wasn't in the party, and maybe that's explained in the game, which we'll see in a little bit. But well, I'm confused on why Kamari's not part of the original party because Kamari doesn't have anything better to do than protect Yuna. For one, that's what Orin asked for, and two, Kamari's entire race is dead. So he literally does not have anything better to do but to hang out with Yuna. Imagine Kamari in skimpy goings outfit. He wasn't really wearing clothes to begin with. So, They aren't all dead though. No, but my point being is that he doesn't have shit to do. Like they imply that in Final Fantasy X that Seymour killed everybody. He's the last Kamari. Or he's the last Ronzo. I don't know why I call him Kamari. He's the last Ronzo. So he doesn't have anything to do other than hang out with Yuna because everyone's fucking dead. It's not like he was close to everybody in the village or some shit. Especially if Yuna decided to fuck off randomly. Like, wouldn't he go out to try to find her or something? I also mentioned that the characters are kind of cardboard cutouts, and I don't really have a favorite character other than Auron because Auron is cool and Lulu because she's hot. Again, I don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that will hinder your enjoyment of the game at all. But it is it was the choice that they made. No, like I said, I like Final Fantasy X. It's not the most in-depth game, but I don't think it needed to be. I think they just wanted to tell their story and they wanted to move on. I think the most interesting character-driven aspect of anything that happens is Waka being racist to the Albed. And they kind of just brush over that. Like, he's really, really fucking annoying about it for a good while, and then they just kind of go, oh man, Yuna's part Albed, now is, oh, fuck. And then they never talk about it again. My headcanon is that he fucked off and went to the same random forest and we never saw him again. I mean, until we're about to find out differently in a second. And I'll talk about Final Fantasy 12 when we get to Final Fantasy 12. But basically what I'm saying is for Final Fantasy X-2, you asked me to care about things that weren't present in the first game, now all of a sudden in the second game, and I just don't. Any countering opinions, chat? Well, before we get started. Anything you want to comment on what I said? Any of you guys have differing opinions? Yes, rather. No? Probably play 10-2 on my own time. I hope you enjoy it more than I did. And I don't mean that in the sense that I say that I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was cool. I just didn't think it was worth playing. Give me 2 seconds. I think I just caught a mouse. Update, I did not catch a mouse. I might have even just hallucinated that I heard something. Anyway, I'd rather play for myself than have somebody suffering something they didn't enjoy. It's not that like I said, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't. I hit the wall, and I was like, "There's no reason for me to continue this." Like the game eventually said, "Hey, go explore the rest of the world," and I went, "I don't want to," and then that was the end of the game. That was the end of the game for me. But we started the story. We might as well see how it ends, right? So let's go ahead.
Released by Square Enix in 2002 on the PlayStation 2 and re-released for the PS3 and Vita, director Motomu Toriyama and writer Kazushige Nojima returned to create the first true sequel for a main series installment. Unlike the series' tones emphasized in the first game, the sequel chose a much more lighthearted approach with pop overtones, while still addressing the aftermath of a post-Sin Spira. For characters, there are only 3, Yuna, Riku, and newcomer, Pain. For combat, the game chose to adopt a modified ATB system.
I don't know why the subtitles are on, but we're just gonna.
Though it would be faster in pace and possible for 2 actions to occur at the same time. The biggest change was in the adaptation of an interchangeable class system called the Garment Grid. There are 17 possible jobs, plus an extra character exclusive one tied to a garment called a Dress Sphere that players can dynamically shift to in the middle of combat, changing their skills, stats, and abilities to adjust to complex enemies. For gameplay,
I really want to know about Pain, because Pain is cool, and why is she here?
Is composed of optional activities and side quests, with plentiful minigames. Unlike the previous game, the entire pace is actually player-determined and mission-based rather than flowing naturally along the main campaign, allowing players to complete as much or little as they like apart from the main quest. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. It's been 2 years since the defeat of Sin, and Spira is adjusting to dramatic social culture changes. With the Age of Summers ended, Yuna is now informally leading a group of sphere hunters called the Gullwings, whose main agents are herself, her cousin Riku, and their friend Pain. They crash a concert in Luca in order to reclaim a garment grid stolen by her rival sphere hunter LeBlanc and her 2 lackeys, Logos and Ormi. After
You
winning
mean
back
Team
her
Rocket,
songstress
yes.
Stress Sphere, Yuna notes it seems to take over her body like it has a mind of its own, and their technical support, a boy named
I
Shinra,
think that's
says
a
it's
cool
possible
detail.
if the
That
emotions
the
of the person recorded in
dress
the sphere
spheres
were strong
changed
enough.
their personality
The
slightly.
rest of their Albed crew on the airship Celsius is their pilot and alleged leader, Riku's brother, named Brother, and their information operator, Buddy. For Yuna, her journey as a sphere hunter began when she once saw a sphere recording of Tidus she never saw before, and continues as she hunts for more clues.
I love changing dress spheres in battle.
A sphere
I
hunter
wish
is
it mattered.
exactly that, a hunter seeking valuable spheres hidden across Spira. Since many contain powerful memories that can even impart knowledge or abilities to its user, powerful or entertaining ones are highly valued. As her hunt brings her to Besaid Island, it's revealed Yuna ran away to join the Gullwings rather suddenly. Since
It answered my frustration with FF5 that the characters have multiple jobs, but you can only do it outside of battle. See, I didn't mind that you could only do it outside of battle. What Dick does to her. What are you talking about?
the Eternal Calm began, Waka married Lulu, and they are expecting their first child soon. She
Still, like, I don't mind that they got together, but like the whole entire pregnancy thing was fucking strange. She's like, "Oh, the baby kicked." Like, you were definitely still in the first trimester, brother. Lulu? What are you talking about? Like the Yuna could go into battle as a warrior, and then if something good comes up, you want to steal from them, you swap the thief.
shows them
Yeah,
the sphere
no, I
that
think that's
compelled her to
cool.
become a
I just
sphere
wish it
hunter, and
mattered.
it's one Kamari found atop Mount
Because-
Gagazet. Within, they
Like you even mentioned this yourself. Like because it's level based and you have to get AP for the dress spheres. There's no reason for you to ever switch. You use the things that you know you're going to use and then never deviate from them. It kind of invalidates its whole system.
They see someone with a striking resemblance to Tidus trapped and in trouble, though she's still looking for clues. Visiting Makalania Woods, she meets with
What
Trummel,
happened?
Seymour's
We
former
are
aide,
doing a
and learn
recap
that
of 10
Guadalupe
too,
are in
since
hard
I'm not
times.
playing it.
They apologize for how they treated her and now suffer the ire.
You master a job pretty quickly. Sure, but it doesn't feel like they want you to do it. So you definitely want to diversify what you use. Maybe they because I only played it for so long. I think I only did like 3 hours of it. And then 40 minutes of that was me running around being lost. I probably didn't get as much out of it as you probably could have, but it doesn't feel like they want you to do it. At least not at first.
Many races across Spira, especially the Ronzo, who delivered firm revenge for Seymour personally killing so many of their own. Now, they hide in the woods, preferring to repent for their
For the record, I think Dancer Riku is the best one. Like, it's cool that she's a thief and all, but I think Dancer Riku just makes the most sense.
actions with obscurity. Visiting Xanakin ruins, they are shocked to see Sid has turned the once sacred place into a tourist attraction, which Yuna is less than pleased with. However, they do find a curious cracked sphere within and take it anyway. Moving on, they visit Kilika Port, which has been rebuilt into a prospering community again by one of the three major factions rising in Spira, the Youth League. In fact, when they arrive, there is already a confrontation occurring between them and another faction, New Yevon, as the Youth League wants a sphere of historical records at a store in Kilika Temple.
Damn, that guy has
Nuge,
no
leader
ass.
of the Youth League, leads the organization in their mission to make public
This nigga's name is Nuge. Okay, bro. All right.
true hidden history of Spira, which previously was being concealed by the temples of Yevon. It's mostly composed of a lot of former members of the faith that have become disillusioned and angry at the religious dishonesty in the past, and are not afraid to openly fight to obtain their goal. However, New Yevon, which is no longer concealing the fact that they use formerly forbidden Machina, are prepared with a golem for defense. Though, the Gullwings defeat the Machina and snatch the sphere from underneath both groups. Viewing it, they see the Tidus lookalike in front of a massive monstrous Machina and talking of saving a person named Len, and Yuna finds herself oddly upset by this. At night, when she falls asleep still wearing—
What do you mean oddly upset by this? It's very clearly just jealousy. What do you mean? She says she loves you at the end of 10. Bro, what?
a songstress outfit, she has a dream of being
His
chased
fit
by
was
soldiers with Tidus and getting shot down in front of the massive Machina they saw earlier. The dream is both vivid and upsetting, and afterwards they decide to return the ominous sphere back to the Yevon Temple in Bevel. In Bevel—
See, look at Riku vibing. She was just having a good time. Riku, you know what? I think I take it back. I think Riku is my favorite character. She's just fun. The video is great where Tidus and Yuna get shot. Let's find it real quick. Here's the video quality. Oh, I thought you meant it was funny. I'm gonna stop it right here. Do you know exactly what this is? This is this is Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. This is the exact same framing. This is literally Maria about to get fucking shit. Did me sound a copy of this since 2003? This is literally the same scene. Okay, hold on. Sorry, tangent. Hold on. Come on, I believe in YouTube. The crowd cheering as Maria gets shot. Maria! The soldier was fast with the two, and he did not miss. That had to be inspired by this just a little bit. It's very oddly the same framing, so maybe it was. Damn, firing squad. Did he get taller? They were the same height in 10. Don't worry, chat, no blood. They're not actually dead. There's no blood. There's no holes either. That is kind of fucked up. That's a fucked up dream to have. Alexa, play Despacito.
Yuna is greeted graciously as her reputation as High Summoner is still held in high regards. Within, they meet the leader of the new Yevon organization.
Okay. Hold on. Before we continue with that, they mentioned her being High Summoner. There was an instance in which I tried to go into the trial area, and they said entrance into the trial area is forbidden. Surely as the High Summoner, you must know that. Like, I'm a summoner. Why wouldn't I be able to go into the trial area? I'm the summoner. What do you mean? Anyway, sorry. It was just a weird. Basically, they said that was the game saying, "Hey, we don't have this part loaded. There's no reason to go in there." That's what was going on. But that's a very weird thing to say to the person who defeated Sid.
He explains that the machina they saw in the sphere is Vegnagun, a weapon built 1,000 years ago and a little earlier than Sin's appearance. Unfortunately, he doesn't know who the man in the sphere was. Returning to their ship, they learn LeBlanc has snuck in and stolen away the broken sphere fragment they found in Xanargan.
Chat, how do you think her jacket stays on her
titties?
titties?
Into her mansion with, they run across Gipple, leader of the third major group in Spira, the Machine Faction, who now celebrate an advanced machina since they are not really considered taboo anymore. Like with Nuge and Barrelai, it seems Gipple also knows pain somehow. Later, they meet Kamari and Mount Gagazet, leading the surviving members of the Ronzo,
Double-sided
and after
titty
finding
tape.
the uniforms needed, they visit LeBlanc's home, which used to be Seymour's mansion in Guado Salam. Within, they overhear LeBlanc, who is in love with Nuge, helping him learn the location of Vegnagun, which he has plans for. When they discover a new sphere in LeBlanc's base, they watch it and learn of a bloody selection process for something called the Crimson Squad, wherein 4 people had unexpectedly survived a supposed death
The
trap.
chapter sucks collecting
Further
uniforms.
within, they locate their stolen sphere piece and find LeBlanc had the other half, and are soon discovered. After beating LeBlanc again, they watch the reunited sphere and see it covers Vegnagun in more detail, including his location beneath Bevel. Actually, they all agree with LeBlanc and Nuge that it needs to be dismantled before it can be used to harm anyone, and the two teams cooperate and head for the
Mitsumi_Ryochi has rated the channel with 1 viewers. Hey Mitsumi_Ryochi and viewer, welcome to our whimsical realm of chaos and magic. Get ready for a fun adventure filled with mischief. Enjoy as we create unforgettable moments together.
Hey, Mitsumi, thank you so much for the raid, man. What were you up to? I'm on game on my laptop. I get it done. Don't worry about it. I spell his name right. Mitsumi_Ryochi. I think we're just we're just the generation of fucking underscores, man. Because I think everybody in our generation just has underscores in their name. Thanks some sendless for my birthday. Oh, happy birthday! Well, if you're not following Mitsumi, do it for their birthday, man. Come on, son. do for the birthday. Well, for Mitsumi's side, I'm the Infinite Dragon. I'm gonna be playing Final Fantasy 15 a little bit later. We're currently going through the games that I didn't finish: Final Fantasy 10-2, Final Fantasy 11, and then Final Fantasy 12. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going through 10-2. Mitsumi, do you have any experience with the Final Fantasy games? I assume you rated because you know about 15.
The depths of the temple, they recognize the area as indeed the same as the ancient sphere and soon encounter Barrelai. The young Praetor for Yevon insists Vegnagun is not to be disturbed and both sides clash. After edging out a win, they move ahead and are shocked to be halted by a dark Aeon version of Bahamut, as it's thought all Aeons are now more.
That was Bahamut?
They move ahead and are shocked to be halted.
Oh, that's very clearly Dark Bahamut.
By a dark Aeon version of Bahamut, as it's thought all Aeons are no more since there are no more faith. Weathering its attacks and winning, Yuna is still in disbelief, but soon arrives in the chamber of Vegnagun. However, all they find is a large, deep hole and Vegnagun gone. Worse yet, all of a sudden,
it's a dragon, but dragons are
out of every temple across Spira, and suddenly Nugent Barrelai disappear as well. Sudden, fiends have begun appearing and flooding.
That is incredibly sus.
Out of every temple across Spira, and suddenly Nugent Barrelai disappear as well. As they choose to start a monster extermination service, they discover another sphere recording from the old war that once again shows the same Tidus lookalike warning that he'll use Vegnagun against its creator, Bavel. It's clear by now that Machina is a relic from the war 1,000 years ago between Bavel and...
See, this would have been cool if there were or maybe there was and I just didn't notice, but if there were hints of this in 10, because then it would have been like, oh, maybe there is some reason to look around, but there wasn't. Chat, remind me, but there wasn't any interactions like this, on to why Machina was forbidden, were there? They just said, no Machina. Other than that, I have played a tiny bit of the other games, but I wanted to do more when I finally get my PS4 back. For the record, Mitsumi, you can play a good portion of the Final Fantasy games without a PlayStation. Your PC should work well enough. You can at least do the first 6. There were not any hints in 10? Waka did say. There was some stuff about the war in 10 with Forbidden Machina. Yeah, but not Vegnagun. Okay, so I guess I'm just not remembering the part where they mentioned that. But, even then, it was a cutscene when they go, oh, the Great War was bad and shit happened, and then they never brought it up again? I certainly don't remember it. If it happened when we got Waka and Lulu into the party and then moved on. I'm here doing a lurk, sick as fuck right now. I hope you feel better. A lot of people are sick. I hope you feel better day and enjoy your lurk. NPCs bring it up a lot if you talk to everyone running around, but not main story. Can't say it wasn't there, but it wasn't really important because it's an NPC.
Xanarkand, which resulted in Sin and a dramatically different Spira. Given that it's also
that's this dude right here, whatever his name is, he would have been an excellent fucking person to exposit on the thing, because I remember most of what he said because we talked to him every time. He mentioned that in the Calmlands that great fucking crater was created because of the ancient war, and that's where they beat Sin, and he somehow created the Dragon Crater, but that's what created the Calmlands. I remember that. And then there's some other stuff that he was talking about as well. But I don't think anyone really mentioned, no main character or character that was voice acted mentioned anything about the Great War, aside from maybe Waka at the beginning.
From the same time period Tidus claimed to be from, and that he looks just like him, may mean a deeper connection and warrants further investigation. Revisiting Besaid, they help out Waka, who is clearing out their own Temple of Fiends, and butting heads with a member of the Youth League who is rushing to burn the entire temple down as a solution.
Damn.
Within, they find another dark version of Yuna's first Aeon, Valifor, and it seems to be the source of the Fiend generation. Defeating it, even Waka admits it's sometimes foolhardy to risk everything for just one memory, using his nostalgic attachment to this temple as an example. After taking care of a dark Ifrit in Kilika Temple, they note another hole where the Faith used to be, and that it seems similar to what they found with Vegnagun and Bavel. Responding to Jose Temple, they find Gipple has up and left too, though take the time to defeat a dark XII.
So this probably would have made less sense because they didn't fight any of the dark, aside from the ending, I guess. But this probably would have felt even more just all right, well, this is here, I guess.
Within. However, after winning the battle, a spontaneous explosion knocks Yuna into the hole of their faith chamber. When she wakes up, she's in her songstress outfit in a strange place. When the man she's been looking for steps in, she wonders if it's Tidus.
Or there were no Dark Aeons in OG FF10. Didn't we technically fight him for the final boss? Like, the Dark Aeons was technically Sin possessing our summons. The final boss kind of, yeah. So, I mean, that would have made sense. I'm sorry, Yu Yevon, not Sin. Yeah, you're right. The Yu Yevon possessed version.
But he introduces himself as Shuyan and mistakes her for Len. It turns out that after they were murdered, Shuyan lingered as an unsent and observed that Spira is an unsavable mess of constant battling. So, he intends to use Vegnagun to end it all and pass on in peace with Len. However, Yuna finds her outfit is suddenly paralyzing her with an overload of emotions, and she's unsure if they're her own or Len's. Suddenly, a shout by Nuge breaks the illusion, and she finds Baralai was apparently possessed by Shuyan as Gipple and Nuge help her up. They pass her some spears for pain and go after him, as she soon finds herself in the depths of Bavel. After getting picked up by the group, it's confirmed Len was the original owner of the songstress dress sphere Yuna wears, and Pain begins to explain her relation to Nuge, Gipple, and Baralai. Once, the three men were candidates for the Crimson Squad, and Pain was assigned as a recorder during the trial. The squad was intended to be an elite combat group under command of Yevon as a replacement for the many Crusader
said it before, and I'll say it again. The music in 10-2 is fucking phenomenal.
leaders lost to Sin, but everyone but them died during an accident during the trial. The cause was unknown, so after they survived and split up, Pain became a spear hunter to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, with the main three leaders of Spira all gone, Yuna decides to calm things down for the populace before tensions between the lost followers erupt into open violence. Somehow, the suggestion to hold a concert and unite the people to calm things down gets group approval, and they organize a massive event. Len's feelings within the dress sphere get stronger, and before the concert,
like, that's not a bad decision. It's just, it felt random in the context of everything. Wow, everything's really fucked up. You guys want to have a concert? Yeah, sure.
Yuna reminds the people of Spira of the terrible civil war that once occurred and resulted in Sin. Len's voice begins to come out of Yuna and
excuse to make the CGI concert
itself apart again. As she sings, Len's memories manifest themselves as she takes the place of Yuna and reveals to everyone how War drove Shuyan to try and activate Vegnagun and end it himself, only for Len to try and stop it, and they both end up getting killed because of it. After a heartfelt song, the audience indeed empathizes with each other and begins to end their petty squabbling. Afterwards, they learn Len was once a popular songstress forced to become a summoner due to the wartime. Because Xanarkin's summoners were dying on the front lines,
there's a parallel with Yuna being a summoner and then becoming songstress, and there's a parallel. That's nice. That's nice writing. I like that.
Shuyan wanted to save Len and end the war at the same time, and so sought to steal away the enemy Bavel's Machina weapon and destroy them with it. Of course, it did not work out. Meanwhile, they see a new transmission from Nuge and Gipple in the far plane, planning to move on Vegnagun soon. Elsewhere, in Besaid Village, Lulu's baby is born, and Waka names
No! Are you gonna tell me that 9 months passed or something? Because fine, if that's the case, but no? If time passed and 9 months passed, they were too lazy to change her model. I mean, even Riku comments on it. Like, even Riku goes, she doesn't look pregnant, which means she's probably still in her first trimester. And then now all of a sudden she's got a fucking baby. Did a stork bring that shit? But she was 8 months pregnant when you visit her in chapter 1. What? Nigga. Brother. Come on, son. Who is the director of this game? And Waka was apparently tubby? Yeah. Yeah. He looked exactly the same. Yeah. I do like that Waka tried to did make an excuse of trying to get a dad bod though. Let me look this up. Who was the director of this game? It had to be a dude. Sequel budget issues. Hold on. Directors of Final Fantasy X-2. Matomu Toriyama, Yoshiro Kitase, Tetsuya Nomura, Hironobu Sakaguchi, Yoshitaka Amano, Takayoshi Nazato. Yeah, all of the Nakazato, excuse me. All of these are dudes. It should have been me. No, it should have been me. My point being is that they don't know how pregnancy works.
his new son, Vidina. Over in Xanarkand, they learned Vegnagun was actually never used, even to fight Sin, because it could not distinguish between friend or foe, and would kill indiscriminately. Thus, it was hidden and labeled a failure. Over in Guado Salam, Trommel and the rest of the Guado are ready to stop hiding and accept consequences for their actions head-on and in peace, though Kamari insists the Ronzo want no more bloodshed. Humbly relieved, Trommel accepts the role as a new leader.
I guess we didn't kill him. I guess this guy didn't die. Anyway.
Of the Guado. Over in the Thunder Plains, they help Sid out of a rough spot, help him reconcile his argument with Brother, and resolve a long family dispute.
Come on, at least the
Finally, over in Beacon El
mountains.
Desert, they find the hidden Cactuar village and help with an overwhelming Fiend invasion. Preparations complete, they're ready to take on Vegnagun and save Spira, as well as Nuge, Gipple, and Barreleye. Making their journey to the far plane, they jump down the hole Vegnagun left underneath Bavel and defeat more Dark Aeons, starting with Shiva and followed by Anima. After defeating these former allies, the Faith of Bahamut comes out and explains they tried to warn everyone, but ended up getting consumed by the darkness and getting turned into fiends instead. He also warns them that it's not the real Shuyin they're fighting, but his lingering hatred remaining here unsent, to which Yuna decides she'll dispel with Len's love.
Or you could just send them, but okay.
Further along, they pass their allies in this mission, Team LeBlanc, who was told to stay behind, and Gipple, who passes Pain a sphere of their good old times as friends with dreams of flying their own airship. Approaching the self-aware Machina, they find Nuge, who comments Barreleye is still being controlled by Shuyin's hate in order to control Vegnagun. Nuge offers to sacrifice himself.
Hold on. Can someone remind me how fiends are made? Because I remember that they said that the fiends are made by someone who was unsent and they just became fiends. But if they're not turned into fiends via hatred or longing or whatever, how do they turn into fiends? Like Oren technically died when he was like what, like 19, 20, and he stayed a fiend and even aged until he was like 35. Plot? Okay, so it's not really explained then. And then Seymour died and he just decided, and then all those fucking headmeisters or whatever they were, they had to have been fucking dead for a long time. Quote from Lulu, you see, they envy the living. Time the envy turns to anger, even hate. Oh yeah, because I remember because it quoted Star Wars. Should these souls remain in spirit, they become fiends that prey on the living. So, but based on that quote, if we're going to take that at face value, that means Len. That was his name, right? The dude that looks like a. That was not the dude. That was the girl. Shuyin. Shuyin should turn into a fiend, right? Maybe that's going to happen in a bit.
Take out Shuyin and himself at the same time, but Yuna refuses to let more allies be sacrificed for the greater good, and excusing it by saying there is no other choice. When LeBlanc and Gipple catch up, they all agree that Vegnagun is just a big oversized Machina that they can team up to dismantle, and Yuna gains support for her plan to beat Shuyin's hate with Len's love. Splitting up to catch it in a pincher attack, they drive into the core of Vegnagun, though Barreleye is persistent in activating the cannon and priming for attack.
Should have been a penis cannon, I'm just saying. I have to hop in the shower. My mom's taking me to dinner, so I need to get ready. We will be here, if you decide to come back. Happy birthday, Mitsumi, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks again for the raid.
All teams working together, the Gullwings succeed in knocking out the head of the super weapon. Next, they get Shuyin to come down and face them, and Yuna changes garment to convey Len's feelings for him. However, he realizes the ruse at the last second and attacks, surprisingly wielding the exact same special moves and skills as Tidus. And so, Yuna, Riku, and Pain fight and defeat the ghost of Shuyin, the Xanarkand native and Tidus lookalike. Defeating him, the true spirit of Len comes out to comfort and confront Shuyin, and this time he knows it's the real deal. Len's love reaches through to the lingering spirit, and after 1,000 tormented years, the tragic couple can finally rest in peace and pass on together. Len thanks Yuna as she fades away with Shuyin as the battle ends with love and peace victorious. As the game concludes, the allies make their way out of the far plane where Bahamut pauses Yuna and asks if she wants to be together with Tidus again, which she agrees to. Bahamut says the Faith can't promise anything, but will try something, and fades away. Next, the three young leaders of Spear unite themselves.
Is there an alternate ending if you say no, or are both of those just yeses in disguise? Ah, cool.
Apologize to the public and promise to help Spira into a future of prosperity together. As the
For
game
the side
ends,
ending where
we
she
see
says
the
no.
conclusion to the previous game, in which Tidus wakes up underwater outside Besaid Island. As he makes it to the shore, the Celsius flies in and breaks right above him, in which Yuna leaps off and embraces her original goal at long last. Almost in disbelief himself, Tidus is truly back. They're greeted and congratulated by Waka, Lulu, and the residents of Besaid, and later, Tidus theorizes that Faith reassembled him from memories, but wonders if that means he's still a dream. Promising to cherish each other,
Oh,
Tidus
that's
and
a good
Yuna look
point.
ahead to the future and beyond. Final Fantasy X-2 has enjoyed the success of selling over 6.5 million.
That's a good point. If he's reassembled from memories, does that make him a dream? It's more poignant and fits her journey's growth. Let's go look at it. Sephiroth thinks otherwise. Sephiroth won.
It's you.
God, that
You were
fucking
with me the whole time.
that fucking subtitle text is awful.
I kept thinking you might be. Kept hoping.
God, that is really ugly. Okay, sorry. Ugh.
But you know, I'm not worried anymore. You will always have a place. Here in my heart. We'll always be connected. I love you.
Oh, still going. I think if I played the game, I probably would have gotten this ending. Because I agree with you. That's probably better for her character arc. Even if it's a strong writing, I can't accept that. In my opinion, she's been through too much. She deserves her happiest ending and fuck off. I don't have babies. I get that. I don't really have a strong counterpoint to it. Yeah, I get that. I don't have a strong counterpoint to that. Like she went through a lot of suffering, and just to be like, okay, fine, I'm done now. Dead people should stay dead. Dead people should stay dead. But I mean, if you can have your cake and eat it too, who wouldn't, right? But from what it sounds like Tidus is very unsatisfied with being alive again. He's like, am I even really alive, bro? All right. Any closing thoughts before we move on to 11? FF12 wishes it made characters we cared about as much as Yuna. We'll talk about 12 in a second. Hold on. Nothing much. All right. So, write the timestamp down. You know if the pen works? All right. The reason why I'm not playing Final Fantasy XI is because Final Fantasy XI is an MMO. and I cannot be bothered to get all the shit together for me to play an MMO that's going to take God knows how long. We're just not going to do it. So here's a story recap. Selling everyone. 11 will probably take longer. This is the longest video we have. The other video that we have for 12 is also, I think, 15 minutes. So this is the longest one we have. I hope everyone has your snacks.
Final Fantasy games seem to have a habit of changing things up. And in the case of Final Fantasy XII, many seem to have felt that the game diverges too significantly from what they had come to expect from a Final Fantasy game. For those who were able to get on board, however, Final Fantasy XII features a satisfyingly intricate political plot, fueled by excellent character drama, all the while being delivered by well-written dialogue and some of the best.
Final Fantasy 12. Oh, I brought the wrong one. My bad. Hold on. My bad. Where is the one? I couldn't read the Roman numeral, apparently. That's way too long. Final Fantasy 11 story recap. What you need to know for Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail. Interesting. I don't need to. See, this is the one I clicked, which is 12. Also 12. A retrospect? Do I want a retrospect? Let's just do this one. This one's by Relion Forum.
Hello and welcome back to the Charlian Forum. My name is Chris, and today I wanted to continue my recap series of the Final Fantasy XI story events. This time we'll be diving into the 3-part add-on scenario stories of Abyssia. Once again, I give thanks to Corvana for their efforts in documenting the story of Final Fantasy XI and making this video possible. Without further ado, let's jump into the dimension warping story of Abyssia. Our journey begins, like many others have, in Juneau, as the
I'm worried a complete recap is going to be too long, which is why I looked for this 12-minute video.
Adventurer walks down the busy street. A strange darkness covers the area, and particles begin to float up from the ground.
This is one small addition. He's talking about an ongoing playlist of long series. Oh, shit.
Suddenly,
I watched the hour-long one. This is a 2-hour-long one. I don't want to sit here for 2 hours. I want to play 15. And this is probably the stuff that only covers the stuff that's in the expansion for 14. Maybe that is too long. We skipping this? We might be skipping this. How long are these videos? Or you gotta skip it to do the retrospective. I don't know if you'll find one looking 2 hours. So I think what we should do is I'll just choose a different day, like Friday or something, and then we'll do the retrospective. Unless I decide that I don't care. But no, today I had the full intention of playing 15, so we're gonna do that. All right. Well, on to 12, I guess. Also, I think I'm just gonna pull up that other video because the other video was about an hour long, so we can hang out with that. Why not? There we go.
Welcome.
Okay. Hold on, running timestamps again. All right, let's go.
To the complete story of Final Fantasy XII. A game that is perhaps as beloved by some as it is
22
underappreciated
minutes?
by
Why not?
others.
It's not that I don't have the
Fantasy
patience for a long thing. I just didn't want to spend 3 hours on each one. I think an hour is long enough. You know what I mean?
Seem to have a habit of changing things up. And in the case of Final Fantasy XII, many seem to have felt that the game diverges too significantly from what they had come to expect from a Final Fantasy game.
Surprised how much it's going into for 12?
For
Why not?
those who are able to get on board, however, Final Fantasy XII features a satisfyingly intricate political plot.
You could recap it in 15 minutes easily. All right, Peach, since you've actually played this, do you recommend the hour-long one, or do you want the 15, or would you just say the 15-minute one so we can move on? Darkseid literally said when we were playing it that 12 was one of his favorites, so he's saying the 15. All right, 15-minute one it is. Damn.
Released by Square Enix in 2006 on the PlayStation 2,
This is 30
director
minutes, but it's fine.
Hiroyuki Ito, who also directed Final Fantasy 6 and 9, with first-time director Hiroshi Minagawa, who helped with the Final Fantasy Tactics and Vagrant story games, cooperate to create another installment in the Ivalice universe, after the original director had to step down during the project due to an illness. Set in the same universe but not world as Final Fantasy Tactics trilogy and Vagrant story, it is also built using the same engine as the MMO Final Fantasy XI, though adjusted for a single-player experience. It features a 2-scale open world with immediate freedom to nearly everywhere, making it the largest and most non-linear adventure in the main series to date, with enriching features like dynamic...
Okay. Admittedly, for my own taste, I'm not really the biggest fan of non-linear progression. Because I don't like having too much to do. I think having too much to do burns me out immediately. Which is why I've stated that I don't like Minecraft. Minecraft, you can do anything, which for me translates into you can't really do anything.
Dynamic weather and monster spawn cycles.
I didn't notice that. That's pretty cool.
Per Ito's style, it features a group of 6 individuals with their own stories and no actual main protagonist, though it is often told from the perspective of Vaughn more often than not. Each character levels up traditionally and is customized by the player using a licensed board system, which is a non-linear version of 10's sphere grid system. Mechanically, it is the only main installment with seamless transition from encounter to combat, so everything is real-time. As such, the player therefore only actually controls one character at a time, though they can transition who they play as in the team and leave everyone else to the customizable AI programming system called the Gambit system. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. Set in the world of Ivalice, a magic-rich world with many races, the city-state of Dalmasca is celebrating the marriage of its own Princess Ashe and Prince Rassler of Nebradia in Dalmasca's capital city, Rabanastre. Unfortunately, weeks later, the much larger Empire of Arcadia chooses to invade Nebradia as part of its war march westward. Soon, Nebradia's capital city of Nabudis falls, and at this time, Dalmasca's king Ramenas chooses to aid their new allies and counterattack the invaders' advance at Nalvina Fortress. Dalmasca's captain of the Knights Bosch mobilizes immediately, and Lord Rassler volunteers as well. Rassler leads the army in the defense of the fortress, but the Arcadian invaders prove overwhelming. As their last line of defense
probably how
falls,
I'll remember
Rassler
it.
takes an arrow to the neck, and Bosch just manages to disengage with him in hand. Unfortunately, Rassler does not survive the wound, and Nebradia falls under the Arcadian tide. In the bigger picture, the Empire of Arcadia is really at war with the Empire of Rosaria to the west, and the smaller and recently allied city-states of Dalmasca and Nebradia are just 2 victims on the border and in the way of these 2 giant nations fighting. With Nebradia and most of Dalmasca's forces falling at the Battle of Nalvina Fortress, Dalmasca is now very vulnerable before Arcadia. Knowing this, Arcadia allows Dalmasca to surrender peacefully and set terms. Later, Dalmasca's king Ramenas arrives at the fallen Nalvina Fortress to sign the Empire's peace treaty, and a young soldier named Rex is awoken by an on-site Captain Bosch and a small contingent of knights,
then he
including
dies.
Captain Vossler as Ellis. Bosch and the remainder of the knights are still picking themselves up as he helps along Rex. Rex believes he is helping rescue the king from the Empire, but as he catches up, he sees everyone in the treaty room murdered, including King Ramenas. He is abruptly stabbed by Bosch, who calls out the king as traitor for signing control of Dalmasca over to Arcadia. However, as he passes out, Rex witnesses Bosch get captured by Vayne Solidor, 3rd son of the Arcadian emperor, and he passes out thinking of his younger brother Vaughn. As the events transpire, they are recorded by Marquis Andor, friend of King Ramenas, who also reports Princess Ashe's grief-driven suicide. In addition, Captain Bosch was executed on charges of high treason, sedition, and assassination.
He's not
As a
actually
result,
dead. We didn't see a
Damaska was
body.
to surrender without terms. 2 years pass as we see Vaughn, orphaned younger brother of Rex, surviving on the streets of Damaska's capital city, Rabanastre. He makes a living with petty theft as he lives alongside another war orphan friend, Penelo, who urges him to get on
who doesn't totally love him.
She does. Personally, Vaughn has a dream of being a sky pirate with his own airship one day. To make ends meet, he even opts to take bounties and jobs off a billboard, and during one job, he finds some Galbana lilies that he finds particularly precious. Later in the day, there is a parade for the appointment of a new consul for Rabanastre, Vane Solidor, and he quickly wins the
Of course, she doesn't love him, Baka. Naturally, of course. We only saw him for 2 seconds when I was playing, but I think the Cid's pretty chill, which means he's either actually really chill or he's a supervillain.
Frustrated people over with a compassionate and inspiring words. Vaughn still harbors resentment for the Arcadian Empire, and so plans that night to sneak in the castle.
That was his name. The guy who had Cid in his name.
As Vaughn obtains a means in by way of the Garamscythe waterways underground, there is actually another group at play, a resistance group including former Captain Azelis and another woman. At the same time, an elite duo composed of a distinguished man and co-pilot Vieira dash into the castle grounds on their jet bike. Vaughn navigates his way successfully to the treasure room with his acquired knowledge of the castle's secret passageways, and as he is looting, he accidentally uncovers a large chunk of valuable nethicite. At the same time, the duo corners him for the precise piece of nethicite he's holding.
We stopped just before this happened. So we got the mission to go in and take whatever was inside the vault. So we never got to this part, but this is where, I guess this is where the plot starts happening.
When the sounds of a fight breaking out distracts the duo, Vaughn gives the duo the slip and finds the resistance group engaging the Empire's guards. As a nearby battleship is conveniently nearby to suppress the threat with its cannons, much to the rogue's suspicion, he chooses to help out Vaughn as they are all spotted by the alerted guards. The Vieira notes their hoverbike is somehow losing power rapidly, and they crash nearby the waterways, opting to take that as their way out.
I don't know who the Vieira chick is, but she's cool.
Vieira, a race of bunny women, and himself as Balthier,
Fran's cool.
He takes command of the situation to ensure they all survive, and they form a temporary alliance. Balthier deduces the consul knew there would be an attempt on his life by insurgents, and thus appeared to have a light guard about, but in reality had heavy backup close by, thus snuffing out hiding rebels.
I ever actually showed you, but when I was playing 14, I actually had a retainer that was a Vieira woman, and she looked remarkably like Vaughn, but she had black hair.
As they make their way out, they encounter the woman leading the resistance, and Vaughn chooses to help her out. The woman introduces herself as Amalia, and while she opts to accompany them only for their escape, Vaughn notes his nethicite chunk illuminates once more. Though they beat away a menacing flan monster, they soon walk into a trap that even Consul Vane is personally present for. As they are arrested and hauled off, Balthier smoothly drops a handkerchief in the hand of a protesting Penelo for safekeeping. Vaughn has a flashback of visiting his brother Rex with his favorite Galbana lilies, who was mentally broken and hospitalized, and bearing the stigma of being accomplice to the king's murder. Vaughn believes his brother innocent and merely tricked by Captain Bosch, but Rex died, leaving only his signet ring behind. He wakes up to find himself, Balthier, and Fran tossed into the dungeon of Nabina Fortress. Vaughn quickly gets into trouble with some of the other prisoners, and a trio of Sikhs, a race of horned pigmen, encroach upon him until Balthier jumps in to bail him out of a rough fight. A group of soldiers come in to escort in the headhunter Bagamnan of the Bangar race of lizardmen, hot on the trail of Balthier. As Fran leads them out to their escape route, a judge now makes his entrance, and Balthier explains they are the authoritarian law enforcers of Arcadia, and elite guards in the House of Solidor, which basically makes them commanders of the Imperial Army.
These guys look like the guys, I'm sure it's not by accident, these guys look like the guys in Final Fantasy XIV that you have to fight in one of the earlier expansions. I think it was the first one, Realm Reborn. These guys look like those guys.
The judge is actually just passing through en route to another prisoner and makes his way as Bagamnan resumes his hunt for Balthier. Balthier decides to reverse the situation and take advantage of the judge's access and let him open doors for them. Their payoff is immediate as they find the room with their confiscated gear and still manage to stay a few steps behind the judge.
Yeah, FF14 took a lot of inspiration from the Grelian army, for Grelian army, for the Arcadian army here. Yeah, I remember. I remember a little bit. I remember it's been a couple years since I played, but I remember a little bit.
Trailing the judge brings them to his quarry, which is Captain Bosch, who is actually alive after all, despite the public report of his execution.
Yeah, told you.
The judge unmasks himself to reveal he is Bosch's twin brother, and it's revealed that Bosch is kept alive in the Empire's dungeon as blackmail for Marquis Andor's silence and cooperation, though even the judge does not know why specifically.
If you're going to do 15, I'm probably not going to be here just for me playing it blind. Well, Bacha, you realize you're way ahead of me. I haven't even started yet.
The judge asks who Amalia's real identity is, but Bosch refuses to answer. As the judge leaves, Balthier steps out, and Fran indicates that she, sensitive to an ether called Mist, senses they're an exit if they follow the Mist trail through here. Bosch beseeches them to release him, but Balthier hears none of it. However, Vaughn takes the opportunity to vent his frustrations and blames his brother's death.
Way ahead is in level 19 story quest and level 40 for sure. But you don't know anything about 15? Probably gonna take me a while to get to level 19 for story quests.
And this kingdom's problems.
I do know for a fact that I'm probably not going to do any of the side quests. But we want to watch the FF15 movie as a watch along. I thought about it, but that is not something that I can post to YouTube. So unless you guys specifically request for us to watch that, I'm probably not gonna. Sony will smack the channel out of existence if I do that. Side quests are good, but the game is. So one of the main things that I'm interested for 15 is 15 going to be one of those things that now that it has more DLC, am I going to want to do all the side quests? Because when the game first came out, I destroyed it in a 3-day weekend. I did not care about that game in terms of side quests. Be severely underleveled. That is not true. I've seen it and recommend it if you want to watch it on your own on the side. Fantasy 15 is one of the things that I actually did do all the extra shit for on my own time. When it came out, I watched the movie, I watched the anime. The only thing I haven't seen is the new DLC and whatever they added to the game since its initial release.
On Bosch. His ruckus alerts the judge and guards back their way, and Frank quickly decides to drop Bosch's cage, and they all ride it down to the depths of the dungeon. Cool. Always the opportunist, Balthier decides that since Bosch is free, he might as well be useful, and lend them his sword arm, which Bosch firmly agrees to, much to Vaughn's ire. As they get Bosch geared up, Vaughn repeats that his brother saw Bosch kill the king, and Bosch recalls that he must mean Rex. Vaughn accuses him of Rex's death too, but Bosch swears it wasn't him. As incredible as it sounds, he explains it was his twin brother, Gabranth, that committed all of those deeds and framed him for it. Balthier believes the story fits, but Vaughn still isn't convinced. Banding together to defeat a queen mimic, they secure a way out through an old tunnel where Bosch insists he is still a knight loyal to the throne of Robin Aster and leaves to join the resistance. Balthier and Fran go on their separate way too, and Vaughn decides he needs to offload his nethicite quickly. He looks for Penelo to let him know he's okay, but she's nowhere to be found. Next, he shows his treasure to Dalen, the information broker who showed him the secret passageways around the castle in the first place, and Dalen now tasks him to deliver a sword of the Old Knight's Order to a zealous for him. Vaughn now finds himself again in the Order's resistance group, where the old soldiers don't know what to think of Bosch's survival and claim that a judge killed the old king. Bosch explains to all that Rex was set up as a witness to cement the claim that Bosch killed the king, so Rex is not a liar, which gives Vaughn something to think about. Azella still doesn't trust Bosch, and now Marquis Andor, but will let him pursue his mission to protect Amalia. Bosch asks Vaughn to take him to Balthier, as he needs a sky pirate to fly him somewhere, and as they talk, Vaughn now firmly believes it wasn't Bosch who killed his brother, but rather the Empire. As they find Balthier, they find out Penelo's been taken hostage in the Bujerba mines, demanding Balthier's arrival. As Fran figures, an obvious trap by Begadnin. Vaughn jumps to Penelo's rescue, offering the nethicite as payment to fly him to the sky city of Bujerba.
So this is what I'm gathering. What I'm gathering is that this is more politically driven than it is character driven. When you were saying that it wasn't character driven, I was assuming that you meant that like these characters are not important, and they're not, but not in the way that I anticipated that you meant. Like, things are happening because politics are happening, not because these characters are here or the way that they are.
Where Bosch is going to, though to speak with its ruler, Marquis Andor, so the group reunites and moves on. Vaughn is enamored with Balthier's airship, the Strahl, and is bounding with questions.
They just left it in the story. In that sense, then it's like Final Fantasy X.
Andor gained favor with the Empire when Princess Ash and Captain Bosch were purportedly killed, and Bosch wants to know why. As the Strahl takes flight, Penelo was indeed captured by Begadnin, who mistakes her for Balthier's mistress. It isn't long before they arrive at the sky city of Bujerba, though the note directs them to the Lusu mines. They're overheard by a young boy who asks to tag along with some business of his own in the mines, and Balthier allows him along too. The boy introduces himself as Lamont, and though Balthier and Bosch groan when Vaughn lets slip their real names, they are both curious how Lamont knows so much about the Imperial Army and politics. As they spy on, they see another judge talking with Marquis Andor, who apparently was at the Dalmascan.
That guy looks like an enemy in the 14 too.
Though after the murder, fell in line with serving the Empire, even though rumors say he still helps the Resistance. As they journey further in the mines, Lamont stops for the real reason he's here, and that is to observe the nethicite, a crystal ore that absorbs magic. Apparently, this mine is where Draklor Lab, where Nethicite is being artificially made, is coming from. Balthier suddenly hard-presses Lamont with some direct questioning, but they are interrupted by Begannen. Lamont makes a run for it, and the group soon behind, leaving the headhunters in their dust. Tailing Lamont, he returns to the judge they saw earlier, Judge Geese, and a real identity as the young Lord Larsa comes out. Penella was captured by Judge Geese in the mines right from being kidnapped, but Larsa accompanies her to the Marquis's home. Balthier then specifies that he's Larsa Solidor, the fourth son to Emperor Gramis, and younger brother to Consul Vane. Seeing the Marquis host the Empire, they choose to root up Ujerba's resistance by refuting Ondor's claims of Bosch's death. Vaughn goes around town making a clamor, and they attract the attention of this town's resistance movement. One of Ondor's guardians, of the Catman race called the Rev, arranges a meeting for Bosch with Ondor, and when they talk, Bosch understands that while his very existence threatens Ondor's standing with the Empire,
for people who play this, how good is the world building? Like, do we care about all these different races, or are they just different because why not? We can make them different. That's sad.
To rescue Amalia. Also, Penello, though in good care of Larsa, was still taken back to the Empire. Finally, Ondor chooses not to negotiate and captures Bosch for the Empire, though gives him to Judge Geese and not Vane, who was holding Bosch over his head. As Vane receives word of this, he meets with Dr. Sid, a renowned scientist of the Empire, who also seems to be talking to a mysterious shadow. Meanwhile, the group is in chains again as this time they are transported to the airship
Doesn't seem to be that big a deal.
Within, they find Amalia, who is less than thrilled to see her father's alleged
She kind of looks like Lightning.
and it's revealed that she's really Princess Ash. However, because she
Princess
bears no
Ash kind of looks like
claimed
Lightning.
identity, she is to be executed for that. Bosch interjects that the Dusk Shard can verify those of royal blood and knows where it's located, so they should not kill her, but suddenly the Magicite Shard of Vaughn glows again, and it turns out that is the Dusk Shard. Unfortunately, he is forced to hand it over to Judge Geese, even though he himself does not know what it is. They defeat their guard escort, with one of them being Captain Azelis in disguise, who is never far from Ash, and he requests their help to free the princess. As they all escape, they run into Larsa, who returns Penello back to Vaughn, and says he'll help them, if only to find out how far this no-good plot unravels, for the sake of both of their countries. He hands Penello a piece of Nethicite and takes Captain Azelis with him to secure an escape route for them. In the hangar, however, Judge Geese stands ready and blasts them all with magic, though Larsa's Nethicite does indeed absorb the full effect.
Yum.
They fight and beat the judge, and secure escape.
Get a war fade and a sword? What interesting weapons.
They talk heatedly with Ondor, who realizes Vane was playing them against each other this whole time since the assassination, but cannot aid Ash, as even if they beat Vane, she won't be placed as heir without proper proof of sovereignty. Thinking to obtain the Dawn Shard, which will validate her royal blood, Ash moves to steal Balthier's ship, but she's caught by both Vaughn and the Sky Pirate. Undeterred, she offers them the Dynast King's treasure, as the Dawn Shard she seeks is but one relic in King Wraithwall's tomb, where they must take her. Naturally, Bosch follows Ash, Fran with Balthier, and Penello with Vaughn, so they are banded once more as they head off to King Wraithwall's tomb. Meanwhile, in the city of Arcades, the capital of Arcadia, Judge Gabranth reports to the Emperor himself on Dr. Sid and his activities with Vane, whom is also tied to the fall of Naburis, though there is still the issue of Judge Zek that went missing there. This all matters as the Emperor is deathly ill and a successor must be chosen soon. The Senate of Arcadia actually fears Vane, and the Emperor himself is actually leaning more towards Larsa as the next Emperor. Though, to ensure Larsa's safety, he asks Gabranth to keep Larsa safe, especially from
They fear Vane? Vane, wait, okay, maybe I glossed over it. Vane was the really compassionate dude at the beginning and was like, oh, hey, I know this is weird for y'all, but I'm not really here to hurt you. That was Vane, right? With the dark hair? Why would they fear him? And the Emperor's son. Yeah, why would they fear him? He didn't even want to be called Lord. He's a charismatic leader who has power-hungry tendencies. You fall for his act. See, I told you when I said it, I said he's either actually a really nice guy or he's a villain. Told you. I did not fall for his act.
From his older brother Vane, whom Gabranth is now serving and whom Larsa innocently idolizes. Back with the group, they fly to the edge of the yacht, a land thick with mist that prevents airships from flying within, and thus make their way.
When the VOD goes up, you can literally see. That's the second thing I said.
To the tomb on foot across the Ogir Yenza sand sea. quite literally a flowing sea of sand. As they cross westward across the abandoned oil rigs that bridge the Sand Sea, which are a part of the Rosarian Empire, they are met by Vossler as he chases them down. However, this Sand Sea territory here has long been claimed by the Urutanienza, a goblin-like tribe of desert-faring raiders. Crossing that and the desert beyond, they find the tomb as well as defeat their guardian to gain entry. Ash explains King Wraithwall handed down 3 relics to his straight descendants: the Midlight Shard to House Nebradia, the Dusk Shard to her own ancestors in Dalmasca, and the Dawn Shard, hidden here in his tomb for any of royal blood. As they survive the beasts and traps within, they note the mist is so thick in here that it's even visible to the eye.
Damn, it's like
While
the
it
mist
inherently garners stronger, more dangerous monsters, it also supercharges their own magics. They encounter a unique being, the Esper Bellius, who once was a thrall to King Wraith.
Now, I know that technically anybody can be any class in this game, but what class is Fran? Like, what is she, like, leaning towards when she starts out?
Wall and bound in servitude to those who could defeat it. Doing so, they gain the actual treasure of the Dynast King, and beyond is the Dawn Shard.
Archer?
As she claims the Dawn Shard, Ash suddenly sees the ghost of Rassler, and somehow Vaughn does too. However, as soon as they leave, Judge Geese and the Leviathan are waiting outside for them. He demands an ethicite, but not the artificial one Larsa gave to Penello, and
Doesn't
they
look
learn
Archer-like? Yeah, she
Vossler
looks
sold them all
thief-like.
out. In exchange for the
Ninja-like.
Dawn Shard, Ash will be permitted to reclaim the throne, and the Kingdom of Dalmasca will be restored, though still under the Empire's rule. He holds her companions at sword point to hurry the decision, and Ash submits. Judge Geese says this day-affected nethicite will be going to Dr. Sid, and he has it tested for authenticity immediately. The rapid release of mist during the testing drives Fran feral, and during the distraction they overwhelm the guards, though Vossler seeks to stand in their way.
Hey, damn.
As they overpower him and make their escape, the Dawn Shard begins draining all of the power of the Leviathan, and then crushing the entire ship under its power. As the dreadnought explodes, the manifested mist destroys the entire fleet at once, and the party only barely escapes. After things calm down, the Dawn Shard is seen still hovering in the middle of it, so they circle around and claim it. In the wake of the calamity, Marquis Ondor steps down from his position and begins work on unifying the scattered anti-imperial forces across the kingdom. In addition, the Rosaria Empire has noticed and begun stirring, which makes the Arcadian Senate nervous and eager to pin it on.
My least favorite trope in terms of politics: assholes hooded in a chair. I fucking hate this trope.
For being reckless with the fleet. As they seek to pit Larsa against Vayne, they call back Vayne to Arcades for punishment. Meanwhile, Bosch says he's seen the same destructive power once before at Naburis, in which a single division of Imperials entered the city, then there was a devastating explosion not unlike what they just saw. Given how the Midlight Shard was in Nebradia, it's likely something similar happened then, too. Ash decides to use the Dawn Shard to fight the Empire, but Vaughn points out she doesn't know how to properly use it, and Fran suggests consulting a race of people called the Gareth, who live by ancient customs and know much Magicite lore. Doing so, they learn they cannot wield the Nethicite partly because no one actually knows how to, including them, but mostly because the stone is devoid of power and needs to be recharged. They are soon met by Larsa, who urges her to take the stone and go to the Grand Kiltias, get ordained as queen, and stop Ondor and the anti-Empire resistance before Rosaria uses it as a pretext for war and Dalmasca becomes the site for yet another tragedy. After thinking about it, she agrees, and their next stop is Mount Baramises. At the same time, the remaining judges, Bergen, Zargaboth, and Drace, are divided on what party they are loyal to for the coming succession. As Bergen is loyal to Vayne, Drace supports Larsa, Zargaboth supports the Empire as a whole regardless of who's in charge, and Gabranth is loyal to the current Emperor, which puts him in Larsa's corner. Back with the group, their route through Golmore Jungle is barred as Fran is denied passage through the jungle. What this means is a detour through Fran's home village in the same wood. There, her older sister Yote says their younger sister Mirren has disappeared among soldiers in a nearby mine. Larsa
I've determined that their whole family is hot.
knows nearby there are the Henne mines, so they move there where they find the dead bodies of Imperial soldiers and researchers from Dracula Lab.
Forgot watches immediately after that, cookies go smash.
Laboratory on their arrival. Mirren is spotted
Their whole
within,
species is
acting
hot?
strange
It's
and
true.
erratic, and after they defeat a powerful dragon within the mines, they see Mirren with some sort of being possessing her. It leaves as soon as the artificial Nethicite shard breaks and she comes to her senses. Mirren explains she was captured by the soldiers when she got too curious following them into the mine, and was possessed as they poisoned her with Nethicite. Afterwards, Larsa thinks to take back the shard he gave Penello. They return Mirren to the village, and gain an item that allows him past the wards in the jungle. Meanwhile, Vayne asserts that the Senate hates House Solidor in general, not just him, and they should silence the dissenters. As the group reaches the peak of Mount Baramises, they are about to ask the blessing of the Grand Kiltias on recognizing Ash's right to rule when they are suddenly interrupted by a suave man of the ruling house Margrace of the Rosarian Empire, Al-Cid. The Grand Kiltias acknowledges Larza and Al-Cid's vision of a unified Evil East and joining of the two largest formerly rival empires.
I like that this game has two Cids.
Reports that circumstances have just changed and Arcadia cannot wage peace because Emperor Gramis was just killed. Over in Arcadia, Vayne is present as he claims the head of the Senate committed a murder-suicide of the Emperor and conspired with many other senators who are all being arrested. As such, he lays claim to emergency autocracy of Arcadia, and once more the judges are split on this.
This is so politically driven, I'm kind of okay skipping it. Like, I thought I was gonna miss something, but like, I think I've mentioned this before in previous playthroughs or whatever. But my favorite type of writing is character-driven writing. This just has none of it. Like, I like Fran, and I think I missed Fran, and I think that's sad that I missed Fran, but that's it. Most of the game happens outside of you. You just watch it on the side or hear about it. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with skipping this one. Now it's probably a decent enough game if you play it, but this isn't. I don't really feel bad about missing this.
Brand is silent on this. Drace outright accuses Vayne of fabricating all of this. Berrigan sides with Vayne, and Zargoboth stands with Vayne only because Arcadia needs a leader on this eve to war. The situation escalates where Drace clashes with Berrigan, though he overpowers her with noticeably inhuman strength. Zargoboth is now charged with retrieving Larza, relieving Gabranth, as Vayne knew Gabranth was just spying on him while he served the actual Emperor.
These four general assholes just are all the same person as far as I'm concerned.
And he reluctantly does so. Back with the group, Ash is still firm to fight for Dalmasca as queen, and is told in order to do so would require the other relic King Wraithwall left, the Sword of Kings, which can cut through Nethicite. As they leave a shocked Larza in the care of Al-Cid and the Grand Kiltias, their journey takes them next to the still shrine of Miriam. After meeting and defeating a fiery warden at the shrine, they then encounter the Esper of Water, Mateus, and defeat her to gain her servitude as a summon. As they make their way to the legendary blade,
I did see that when I was scrolling through the guide. The Eons look really fun, or the summons look really fun.
While she makes a last-second decision not to split the stone, Fran notes the stone seems more docile now. As they leave the shrine, they note another Imperial fleet, headed by Judge Zargoboth, flies away from the direction of the smoking Mount Baramises peak. Their fears confirmed. When they arrive, they find the place in ruins, and Judge Berrigan there just having slain the Grand Kiltias. Behind him, they see Berrigan is also possessed by a phantasm through a piece of manufactured Nethicite, like Murin was before. As they clash with the Judge, fervently loyal to Vayne Solidor, they win, and the Nethicite he implanted all along his body ruptures and breaks down. After the fight, Al-Cid limps in, explaining that all three judges came here to tear things up, and it was Gabranth that went off with Larza. He asks Ash to come back with him to Rosaria to convince their leaders not to respond to all this provocation with war. Ash has to refuse him as she still needs to end the Dusk Shard Vayne has first, and Balthier believes he knows where the stone truly is, in Draclor Laboratories in Arcades, the capital of Arcadia. As Arcadia's navy and air force are mobilizing for war, the group chooses to sneak into the city on foot. As they get closer, Balthier questions Ash if she will really destroy the Dusk Shard or return it to Dalmasca and use its power. He further elaborates that she reminds him of his father, who once suddenly became obsessed with the power of Nethicite, and so he researched it, mumbled constantly about someone called Vana, invented airships that could fly in the Yugd, gained notoriety, and even made him a minor judge. Balthier didn't want that life and left it, and his power-hungry father, Dr. Cid of Draclor Laboratories. He reveals all this to give her a warning not to walk the same path. As they enter through Old Arcades, the poor and destitute quarter of the city, they make their way up to the Imperial City proper. Even Vaughn, with his hatred of the Empire, is impressed by the grandeur of it all. Using Balthier's underworld connections to get into Draclor Labs, they make their way to Cid's office, and find they are not the first intruders on the scene. Taking advantage of the confusion, they find Cid, and are nearly attacked by his attacker, though they sort it out and go straight for the doctor together. Cid recognizes the princess, and they see him talking to some unseen presence as he attacks them with his latest Nethicite weaponry. During the fight, they see Cid protected by another phantasm, the one he calls Vana, and he taunts them by showing them Dawn Shard and Midlight Shard in his grasp, while leaving and going to Guru Vagan, where he claims another stone lies. Their newfound ally is Redis, another sky pirate leader of the anti-Empire resistance, and as they leave Arcades, Andor leads a fully funded resistance army to engage the Empire. Redis reveals Ondor seeks the Midlight Shard and wants to use it to defeat the Empire, but will request Rosarian aid if they cannot secure it. Bosch objects and asserts that if Ondor has both the Resistance and Rosaria on the field at once, then Vayne, who does have weaponized Nethicite, will crush both at once. Balthier points out Sid has the weaponized stone.
So I was told, specifically by Feller, a lot, that this is just the plot of Star Wars, or this is just Star Wars. And she was right. This is kind of just Star Wars. But, like, there's a lot of like more smaller intricacies in the political scale, but on the large scale of everything, this is just Star Wars. We have weapon of mass destruction, and we want to use it to rule everything.
Not Vayne, and if they stop Sid, they stop Vayne's decisive.
I guess that's just kind of war, but you know, it's got a lot of. Final Fantasy always kind of had like nuances to Star Wars. So.
The group decides to go for Sid, and Redis chooses to investigate another lead, and he too warns Ash not to induce another Nabudi's disaster with her Nethicite. As they make it to the ancient city of Garabagan, Ash continues to see the ghost of Rossler, though Vaughn no longer can. As they descend the depths of the city, they find an impossibly colossal piece of Nethicite, which even Ash finds himself wondering the amount of sheer power it contains. Beyond, they battle and capture the Esper Shem Hazai, and Ash finds herself spirited away.
Screw this area. Alright, talk about it. What's wrong with this area? Talk to me. Holla at your boy. It's a maze of hard monsters that never stop spawning. That sounds really annoying to deal with, especially with how slow everything in the combat is. Does the combat ever speed up, or is it still like the like as slow as it was in the beginning? Like, I guess you have more characters to deal with stuff, but it's the same speed. Oh, that sounds awful.
Curia, the most powerful beings that exist in Ivalice, and they direct her to the Suncrest, the mother of Nethicite, from which King Wraithwall's treasures are actually just small chips scraped from it. They entreat her to save Ivalice and grant her a new sword, the Treaty Blade, which deigns Ash as their new chosen one to destroy Vana, a rogue Acurian they want killed for disobeying their rules of selective enlightenment, as well as Arcadia, whom he patrons. Though she takes the sword, she is still unsure of committing to the task of revenge. The group wonders why Sid still isn't here yet, and Balthier realizes they've taken his
bait. You can't do that! You can't make a plot-relevant sword and then have it suck! You can't do that. That's so upsetting. It should be broken. It should be broken in the sense that, like, it's just obviously the best weapon, and then it should only continuously get more broken as you level up. Crazy, this is the same world of Final Fantasy Tactics. I have not played Tactics, so I don't know why that's crazy.
After all, Sid had no way into Garabagan like they did, and so he used them to obtain the Treaty Blade. At the same time, Sid and Dee is still in Arcades with Maine and Larza is still suing for peace. Vayne insists Ash will wage war herself, and they both ask the brand to seek out Ash and ascertain what her motives are. Vana makes its appearance to praise both Sid and Vayne, and in the meanwhile, the party thinks to ask Redis what his lead was as they search for the Suncrest. When they return, they wonder that if they find the Suncrest, whether they should
that's another reason why I'm glad I didn't play this, because the game from the jump kind of shows you that the gameplay loop is fetch quests, and it has not changed. You have to go to this place to grab this thing. We have to go to this place to go grab this thing. We got to go to this place to grab this thing. And I had enough of that in Final Fantasy X, because that was also Final Fantasy X. We have to go to this place to grab this Aeon. We have to go to this place to grab this Aeon. That's very not interesting.
Break it and end the power of the Nethicite, or cut a new shard for themselves to wield. Vaughn asks about a clue the Acuria said as to where the Suncrest is, and Redis recognizes it as the lead he was following, but it turns out to be beyond a Yugg. He tosses in a Skystone taken from Sid's lab that the Empire's ship used to fly in Yuggs, and offers them to come along as they trek into the Suncrest. When questioned why, he answers it's because of the Nabudi's tragedy, and so the group uses the new Sunstone in the Strahl to fly to the Pharaoh's Lighthouse. As they move inward, Balthier forebodingly tells Vaughn that should something happen to him, Vaughn can have the Strahl, just in case Balthier should end up doing something dramatic. As they ascend the incredibly high tower, they defeat 3 guardian beasts within, and afterwards fight and gain the servitude of the Esper Hashmal. As they pass all trials, they make their way to the legendary Suncrest.
Oh, you know, it occurs to me that these are called, they have Magicite and they have Espers, just like in Final Fantasy VI? I think it was 6. Artistically, as a dungeon, it's awful. The more you guys say, the more I'm glad I didn't play this one.
For a decision. In one hand, she has the blade once used to carve power from the Suncrest, but she chooses to hold up her new treaty blade and approach the crystal.
The Lighthouse is some of the highest HP FF monster, like across the whole series, or just in the game? You would think that would go to Final Fantasy 14. All FF? That sounds awful.
Confesses it was really him who posed as Bosch and killed.
Guess how much HP? Well, the highest HP that I've seen was 99,999. So I assume it's close to 1 million. Oh, okay. It's a 4 to 5 hour fight. 50,112,254 HP. And at this point in the game, how much does a normal attack swing for? If anyone even knows, like what's normal damage in comparison to that? 5 to 6k maybe, if you're strong. Ugh. All right.
King Romanus years ago. His approach is blocked by Redis, who reminds Gabrant that once Judge Magister Zect took the Midlight Shard in Nabudis and used it, accidentally destroying Nabradia's capital city. This was also an order of Cid to learn the power of Nethicite, and since then he, once Judge Zect himself, swore never to see Nethicite used that way again. Ash chooses to let go of her past.
Sorry, the boss doesn't heal itself, does it? Because that would be so mean. If it can fucking use... Oh, does it heal itself? Please tell me. Please, for the love of God. If this month it can, alright. Yeah, no, skipping this is a good idea. Yzma will not heal when you're off screen, however, it will heal if you're on screen, but very far away from him. It can also straight up just wipe your party. I'm very glad I didn't play this.
And mass murder for the sake
Probably the best decision of the whole entire marathon was just not playing this one.
of revenge, and cuts down the ghost of Rossler.
You wouldn't go after Yzma anyway? It isn't worth it? Oh, it's an optional thing? Well, if it's optional, that's fine. That's different.
And Bosch now faces down his brother, fighting and matching his strength. At this moment, Cid comes out and reminds Gabrant he was to observe the princess and not overstep these bounds, and thus dismisses him.
He's the last achievement I need for FF12, and I'll never do it.
But Vanna's power flings him away effortlessly. Cid agrees with Ash's move to ignore the Icurians, but urges her not to destroy the Suncrest in the name of human progress. Balthier stands forward to stop his father, but Cid even calls him up by his real name, Famran, to express his disappointment.
Famran? With 2
Discharging
Fs?
his newest weaponry, Cid sets up to power up the mighty Sky Fortress Bahamut, and even
Those
calls
are
forth
chaos
his own
weapons.
Esper, Famfree, and continues the artillery assault. Winning the Esper from him, they defeat the Doctor, and as he dissolves in a mist, Cid has no regrets of his 6-year partnership with Vanna, as it too takes its leave.
Okay.
The Suncrest now surges out of control, and as Ash struggles to get close to destroy it, Redis takes the old sword of the king from her and charges ahead as the party escapes, atoning for his crime in Nabudis by destroying the Suncrest and blowing up with it. The effects are felt all around the world, and all Cid comes in to unfortunately tell them he was unsuccessful in preventing war, and several of his country's generals ignore him and join Ondor's fleet to attack the Arcadian Emperor over Old Nabradia and Dalmasca.
Redis is a real one, indeed. Sacrificing yourself for the rest of the party to live in atonement for something is always a good trope. If I could easily get the broken dev weapons, then I'd try, but even getting them is a pain. What do you have to do to get those?
Though Rosaria plans to use this intentional incident and use Ondor's resources before their own, Vayne will still crush them despite losing the Dusk Shard. Reason being, Cid did succeed in powering up Bahamut, though thankfully the destruction of the Suncrest prevented it from gaining much power. He moves to delay Rosaria's involvement for as long as he can.
1/10,000th random chance in World Chest. Have fun soft resetting. Yeah, no, you can kiss my ass. Like as I said, this is optional shit. So fine, like, you know, take it for what it's worth, but like optional shit should not be this fucking obtuse. What are they called? That's a good question. What is it called? I think Final Fantasy in general just has a problem with optional stuff, because all of the optional stuff that you can do in all of the games would kind of feel like a chore to do. That's actually why I stopped playing Final Fantasy V, because I didn't want to do the optional stuff to get the other summons. I wanted to, but like I didn't physically want to do it, so I stopped playing at that moment. Like, I think all the optional shit in Final Fantasy so far has just been kind of like too much. It's just a little bit too much.
The group moves to take on a partially powered up Sky Fortress, Bahamut. Regardless, the power is still plenty strong enough, as Vayne himself is in the fortress with
Ironically,
Vana
that's
on
the
his
final
side,
way to
Lars is
progress the
still there
final
begging
area.
his brother to make peace.
I think I did know
a
that.
single
actually,
shot from the fortress is enough to destroy an entire battleship, and Vayne has no intentions of taking.
At least you know how to tell yourself no. So there's a constant quote in the back of my mind from Game Grumps, as I think a lot of people kind of do. And it's Aaron saying, sometimes you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to deal with? Not fucking this. And that's how I determine a lot of things in my life.
Prisoners, rationalizing any rebellion must be put out ruthlessly and definitively. Each side is primed and ready to go under this precursor to war, and as they release their fighters and engage, Marquis Andor cannot compete with firepower the magnitude of the Bahamut. In the
thoughts about Vayne? Say your thoughts about Vayne.
Under to below enemy lines and into the Bahamut. Docking in the Sky Fortress, they make for the command center and gun straight for Vayne. They are met by Gabranth, who really did survive the blow dealt to him by Vana, and as Bosch beats him once more, he urges him to forsake being a judge and go back to being his brother Noah again. The group then encounters Larza and Vayne, and Larza takes his time to finally give up trying to convince his brother with words and stand against them despite their difference in power. They clash, and though Vayne himself is a force to be reckoned with, the party still prevails against the iron fist of the dictator. Larza rushes to his brother's side, but is knocked aside, for Vayne is not alone, as Vana possesses him to a monstrous degree now, empowered by the manufactured Nethicite.
Damn, you're ugly.
At this time, a wounded Gabranth limps in, and Vayne still cares for his younger brother, so he orders the judge to defend Larza. However, Gabranth does agree and complies with the order by directing a sword to Vayne. The Nethicite-fueled Vayne wields immense power, and during another bout of combat, Gabranth lays a strong blow against Vayne, which is firmly countered. Vaughn then lands a blow that sends Vayne reeling, and now Vana interjects, allowing Vayne to retreat. Vayne apologizes to Vana for failing, but Vana corrects him, stating he wanted the Suncrest sundered, and closed the Age of Stones and the grip the Acuria had over man. Vana now completely merges with Vayne, whose very wisps of power can tear ships from the sky. Pieces of the Sky Fortress meld into him, channeling an armor to turn this Vayne into a mist-fueled, mechanically winged monster.
Ah, shit, he thinks he's Sephiroth now.
Apocalypse, and together the group of outcasts, Van and Penello, the war-torn orphans, Bosch, the disgraced knight, Ash, the princess of a fallen kingdom, Balthier, the disowned sky pirate, and Fran, the forsaken Vieira,
Fran is so cool.
Demigod. However, the victory does not end the war. Their clashes damage the Bahamut to such a degree it begins to fall from the sky, but the straw won't start up. Balthier and Fran set Vaughn and Penello to pilot the ship as they go to fix the engines below. They succeed and the straw is off, where a dying Gabranth, Larza, and Ash quickly work together to convince the warring sides to stop their attack. Their words work, but unfortunately the Bahamut is about to crash and destroy the city of Rabanastre below. Acting quickly, Judge Zargoboth orders everyone to fire on the Bahamut as soon as his warship, the Alexander, rams it off course. However, just in time, they then get word from Balthier, who stole away onto the falling fortress, to quick fix the Bahamut and drift it away from the city. He succeeds in restoring power enough, carries out an injured Fran, and reminds Vaughn to watch his ship until
Damn, did you see her? Hold on. Did you see her fucking heels? How is she doing anything in those? Those aren't actual heels. The heel is just a point. How the fuck is she walking in those? God damn.
An injured Fran, and reminds Vaughn to watch his ship.
Her fucking heels are blade points. Jesus Christ.
Until he comes back as the Sky Fortress crashes safely outside Rabanastre. As the game concludes, it's been 1 year since the party split. Ash is coronated Queen of...
The lore is that she needs those heels so she can walk in her special bunny feet. That's weird. That's weird that they have a detail for that. She also has to wear lingerie for bunny reasons. That's weird. He looks good, but that's fucking weird. Like, the fact they have lore for reasons, that's weird.
Dalmasca, and Bosch has taken up his departed brother's role as Judge Magistrate and protector for Larza and Arcades to further the relationship between their two nations. Balthier and Fran return to take back the straw, with Balthier returning Ash's ring he took and invite Vaughn and Penella over to visit them. As the game ends, Vaughn is finally a true sky pirate with his own airship, and with Penelo as his partner, and they head off to visit with their friends to seek the next adventure. Final Fantasy XII has enjoyed the success of selling over 6 million copies worldwide.
I'm gonna hit you with a clean ass. I'm kind of glad I didn't play that. I don't think I saw, besides Fran, I don't think I saw anything in there that I was like, yeah, damn, I missed out. And then they fucked. No, because Penelo totally doesn't love Vaughn, like, at all. Stupid. All right. And chat, any closing thoughts about Final Fantasy 12? I don't think I want to play this one too long. So more so than that. But I actually agree with their purposes. What? Personally, for me, I don't see a need to. I mean, I would have played this, but like I said, this is just not a stream game. Like, this is very much like, I have a lot of time on my hands on this Friday night. Fuck it, why not? I'll sit and play Final Fantasy 12 for a while, and I'll listen to a podcast in the background. That's what kind of game it is. It's not a stream game. But not in vain wanted to end the Okuri's control of mankind's fate. And I gotta be honest, I don't think I like the story. You did a lot to that, Badra. Ash destroyed the Christ, which was good, but she was following basically the god's ideas on purpose. I do not disagree. I was going to do something. What was I going to do? I was going to turn stream advertisement. There we go. It was not engaging enough for me to pay attention to what happened. If you're saying that about a video that we watched that just recaps the summary, you really were not engaged. Or for sure, Batra, it is, in my opinion, one of the weakest stories. So does the MC from Tactics appear in that game? That's a good question. No fun fact, FF12 is set hundreds of years of the past before FF Tactics. Why? Fuck, he's dead? He's not born yet. Hence why there are ruined airships in Tactics, but no Mughals or other races. But did Tactics come out before this? Or before? I thought you said after. She did say after, before, but I think they meant. Tactics came out in 97, and this definitely came out after that. So it's just a tie-in because we could tie it in. That's very odd. I wouldn't call it lazy writing. I just call it unnecessary. This is a far back prequel of the same world. It's unnecessary. Like, there's no reason to tie those two games together. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm okay with not playing 12. That's my synopsis. Whatever is my synopsis. It's fine. I think it's a tie-in only because they can reuse music and motifs and aesthetics, which they share, as well as storytelling style. But they don't. It's Final Fantasy. Everything's a soft reboot from the previous game, or a hard reboot, technically. They don't need a reason to do that. They can just do it because they like it. So it's very odd that they even had that choice. Very much most of the Final Fantasy games is their own thing with their own world story. If they were trying to tie it to Tactics, they probably should have made it Tactics too. They could have done that. I don't know. Final Fantasy sequels don't seem like they hit hard at all either, though. Like, specifically the sequels to games. Like, I know Nairo likes Final Fantasy 4 too, but it feels like an epilogue. Final Fantasy 10 2 feels like an epilogue. I'm not sure. I think the Final Fantasy games are pretty okay just being standalone games. more of an anthology than a sequel. One constant in most FFs is that there will always be a Sid. I like that. I like that the Pixel remaster of Final Fantasy 1 added a Sid. None of the sequels have been outstanding. FF12 has a DS sequel called Revenant Rings. Penella and Vine become Sky Pirates. It sounds unnecessary. Is it fun? It's okay. It's a real-time strategy game. That sounds like it could be fun. Depending how good it is, I guess. But I guess there's only so many games that you can play that's supposed to be story-driven, which you play for the gameplay and not the story. You know what I mean? So if the story isn't really that good or like outstanding or anything, then I guess it's not really a reason to play it. All right. I think that's it. Yeah. Although there is something I want to do real quick because I think it'll be funny. What is the name of the boss with the fuck you HP? Izumat? All right, hold on. Hold on. Okay. Did she look like she looks exactly like Lightning? There's gotta be a bestiary, right? House. Last one of the bestiary. Who is it? Weapons, armors, accessories, magics, bizarre, merchant shops, bestiary. 304. It's a big ass book. Big ass fucking book. A big ass book that's falling apart on top of that. Is this? No, fuck. This book is separated. It's separated not by it's not separated by in alphabetical order. It's separated in alphabetical order and area. So I need to know what area it's in and then find. There it is. He's mine in the corner. Yizamut. Oh my god, I'm looking at these stats and this is fucking annoying. It takes half damage from all elemental magic and absorbs light, which of course because it's light magic. And then I don't know what W means, but I assume it just nulls dark magic. Level 73 HP 50,112,254, 999 MP, strength 61, magic power 67, vitality 90, vitality 99. Is vitality the defense stat? It's weak to dark. Okay. 99 defense. It's got maxed out defense and has that much health. Speed 20, attack power 107, defense 36, magic resistance 40, no evasion, no experience. LP 255, CP. What is CP? 20,510. You don't get any gil from beating him. He doesn't drop any gil, excuse me. His rewards are 30,000 gil, the Godslayer badge, and you can steal a Holy Stone, a Holy Magicite, and a Holy Crystal, which I don't know what those do. Most strategies employ using a tank with decoy in reverse, so damage heals them, and other two damaging with dark shotguns and Yagyu dark blade with high comboing. So you just set it to endure, and while going as hard as you can, takes about 4 hours. Jesus Christ! All right, well. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you stay tuned for when we go over Final Fantasy 11 for 2 hours. And chat, don't go anywhere. I'm going to take a quick break so I can use the bathroom and run ads and everything. And then we're going to start Final Fantasy 15. Anything else anyone want to say before we do anything? Besides, hit the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. No? Going once? I like trains. I like trains too. Going twice? All right. I will be right back. Enjoy the break.